Can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another video. As you can tell by the title of today's video, we're going to be talking about how and why I became a stay-at-home wife, work-from-home wife with no kids in my home. And so yes, I'm going to go ahead and preface this video by saying even though I'm a stay-at-home wife, I do bring in an income. I do work from home for a medical company, and so I do bring in an income for my family, but I am nonetheless a stay-at-home wife and homemaker, very happy at home. I have never felt more called to something in my entire life. I feel completely fulfilled in the role. I feel like it is my God-given role. I feel like this is where the Lord has put me. It's always been on my heart to be home, whether it be with babies or without babies. Right now it is without, but we're praying God willing one day it'll be with babies and I'll be a stay-at-home wife and mom. But as of right now, even though I do bring in an income with a job, I do that job from home. So I do consider myself a stay-at-home wife. I also consider myself a work-from-home wife. Take the title as you will, but I know people are going to try to come for me when you guys see it titled stay-at-home wife with no kids, but I do have an outsourced job. And I just want to put it out there that stay-at-home wives and stay-at-home moms, they come in all shapes and sizes and they come from all walks of life. There are plenty of stay-at-home moms who go through seasons where they need to bring in an income to suffice their spouse's income and kind of help supplement where some of the needs are. And then even like stay-at-home moms and stay-at-home wives who are on YouTube and making income, they work from home. Their content creation, that is their income. And so while I do work from home for a medical company and my local to me, I am a stay-at-home wife. All the money I bring in for my family is from the comfort of my home. So with all that being said, to just go ahead and preface the title of this video, I do want to go ahead and jump right in. It's going to be like a little bit of a girl time. Let's just talk about it. I'm going to do a story time, so grab something to drink. I have a tea here in my cup that is so appropriate for this video. I'm drinking a passion fruit tea by the Taza brand. Love this tea. Grab something to drink. Let's go ahead and jump right into our story. Okay, so where do we start? So I have always been in the workforce ever since I've been in high school. So let's just fast forward to just 5 years ago. So we'll fast forward through my work experience. From just 5 years ago, I had worked with the military for 5 years as a government contractor, and I was working my job. I started out in medical administration, so I worked in referrals, and I did that for about 4 years, and then from there I took a job as an EHR trainer. So I trained people, like I trained medical professionals on how to use the clinical EHR system, electronic health record system. And so the military is switching over from one system to another, so I had to go off and get a formal training on the new system. That way I could come back and still continue to be that subject matter expert for the clinical system. So I went off and did that. I was gone for about 5 weeks. If you go back on my channel, some footage back, it's probably like around June of 2022, you'll see where I went off for 5 weeks to Missouri and I trained on that. So I come back, everything's fine. I get my certification and my training, and I continue to work at this military base that's local to me. So fast forward 3-4 months after my certification, a job opportunity came to me where I would be able to still be a trainer, but I would be what they call a deployment trainer and not a sustainment trainer. So I was a sustainment trainer. Sustainment training is when you are like loyal to one site, you're stationed at one base or one VA clinic or what have you, and you support the medical professionals in that clinic. A deployment trainer is just that. They deploy you out to different medical treatment facilities, military treatment facilities and or VA clinics around the nation that would need your support. And then you usually hang out there a week to 4 weeks. It just kind of depends. The most common time frame is like 2 to 3 weeks, but there's been times where people only go for a week, and then people have been there as long as 4 to like 5 weeks. So I had an awesome opportunity to be a deployment trainer, and everything about the job was wonderful. I'd be doing the same thing I was doing now. Because I would be deploying out and like traveling to different clinics, my salary would have increased. The only thing about the job is that it most certainly was a sacrifice, and I would have to be away from my husband often. It was like 80% travel, so I'd have to be away from my husband often. My sister has a soon-to-be 6-month-old baby, and my niece is my absolute world, so I'd have to be away from her often, not to mention my sister, my brother-in-law, my mama, best friend, all my girlfriends, be away from my church, my family, just everything that I knew. So it would definitely be a huge sacrifice, and I would probably be traveling for the better part of 2 years, and I would essentially only be home on the weekends. And I also am a small group leader at my church with some of my high school girls at my church. So I had to forego that role as well and break the news to them that because I'd be traveling all the time and I'd only be home on weekends, and by weekends I mean fly in on Friday night or Saturday morning and then fly back out like Sunday night or Sunday morning, so I could get to my destination for like work come Monday. Obviously I wouldn't be able to be with the girls on Sundays anymore. And so when I tell you it was going to be a huge sacrifice, it was going to be a huge sacrifice. So but I was praying on it and praying on it and praying, talking to my husband about it, and we just decided, you know what, we have big goals and big dreams, and you know, what is a year or two in the span of our life? And so we had made the decision together that I would go ahead and apply for the job, and if it was for me, it was for me. So lo and behold, I applied for the job and I got the job. And I knew about the job like 6 weeks in advance, like 6 weeks before we were supposed to leave out, because I had to go to another training. So I took the job, all was well. They told me I got the job. They sent me all the paperwork, all the onboarding. They set me up with an account. They sent me a computer, like a really nice HP ProBook laptop. I went and did my fingerprinting. They had to run a new background, like it was a whole thing. And I mean, I had the job, like we all had the job, because they hired on like a lot of people. So I get to the point where I put my notice in with my job, with my current job on the military base. I put a notice in, and then my last day comes. My last day fell on a Thursday. So I put my notice in. My last day fell on a Thursday. I had my last day at the base. I turned in my military. I turned in everything. Like I was done with the base, with MTF training. The very next day, almost 24 hours to the time, almost 24 hours to the date, they sent out an email saying that our certification program had been canceled, paused as they want to call it, but it was canceled, and they pushed it out all the way to 2023. And to tell you that I was devastated and scared and just panicked and just so anxious is a complete understatement. Like, I called my husband, I was freaking out because I had never been in a position where I didn't have a job ever. That wasn't, and if you know me, that was something that just did not happen to Kendra. Like that doesn't happen. That is like that when I tell you that does not happen, that does not happen. I have always and forever had a job. From the moment I started working, one thing about me was I was going to work, and I was going to get the check. I was going to work. There was never a time where I left the job without absolutely having something else set up. And the kicker was, they told us on Friday at like 5:30 or 6 o'clock p.m. I had a flight for Sunday morning at 6 a.m. because training started on that Monday. So when I tell you, they told all of us at the very last minute that training wasn't going to happen anymore. And like I said, to say I was panicked and just like mortified is a complete understatement. So I called my husband, and God bless him, he was just so calm. Just he brought so much peace and so much calm to me. He was like, stay calm until I get home. He was at work. He was like, stay calm until I get home. We'll talk about it when we get home. When I get home, everything's gonna be all right. I'm still working. God's gonna take care of us. God's gonna provide. You never know, something good could come out of this. God might be giving us exactly what we want. God might be giving you what you want, to be home, like you just don't know. Let's just stay calm and trust the Lord. And then at this point, we also needed to wait to hear back from my employer, because all they said was it was canceled, and when they got more information, they would give us more information. So that starts the clock from when I officially became a stay-at-home wife. And it was such a weird space to be in, because I was employed, but I wasn't working. I was employed but not working. And so you're not really unemployed, but you're not really employed either. It's like a weird limbo space, and I struggled with that for a long time. But in the midst of all that, I just hit the ground running with prayer and with trusting in God. And then I also just hit the ground running with my works, with action. I started picking up the camera and doing my YouTube every single day because that is my real passion. Next month, I think November 24th or November 27th, I can never remember the day, but one of those days will make 2 years that I've been on YouTube. And this last 3 weeks this has been the only time I've been able to be constantly consistent with my YouTube. And it just brings me so much joy to pick up the camera every single day. And my husband was seeing that, and he's like, I just love this side of you. I love seeing you putting in work into something that you're passionate about and something that makes you so happy. My battery died, but yes, my husband was just like saying he had never seen me just so excited and happy to just wake up and do something I really loved. And we both have always known that home is where I need it to be, and if I could bring in an income from home, that would be even more of a blessing. So about a week went by, and my employer was starting to give us some updates, just saying like, yes, it's canceled until next year. We're gonna try to get you guys switched over to a different like training and like program. And from that point on, it just didn't feel right, and it just didn't feel worth it. Like nothing about the job felt worth it anymore. Honestly, my trust was shaken with them, and y'all know trust is everything. It's very hard to regain trust once it's kind of broken and compromised. And so that's when I decided, you know what, I'm gonna start looking for something that I can just supplement my husband's income. And me and him sat down and talked about it. We figured out the numbers, and we figured out what I needed to make in order for us to still be comfortable and for things to still work around the house. And this is what I mean by stay-at-home wives, stay-at-home moms, even people who have children. They come in all shapes and sizes. Just because a wife is home, a mom is home, just doesn't mean that she doesn't bring in an income in some way, shape, or form. And it also doesn't mean that if she does bring in an income in some way, shape, or form, that she's not a stay-at-home wife or mom. She's a work-from-home wife or mom. That is not always the case. A lot of times we choose to work from home so that way we get to benefit from the stay-at-home life. So of course, after talking it over with my husband, me and my husband believe that everything needs to be openly communicated, and we need to be in a complete agreement and approval of each other. We're not going to make a move, especially a drastic one, without prayer before the Lord, and then going to each other and kind of seeing how each other feels about it. So after talking with him, like I said, and we worked out numbers and things like that, we decided, okay, this is what I need to make, you know, on the hour or annually, you know, or what have you. This is what my income needs to look like every month. And so we figured that out, and I just hit the ground running. I was like, I'm gonna take this opportunity to find something to do that I really want to do, because like, if y'all remember in the beginning of my story, I had stated that I was fully aware that me traveling all the time was going to be 110% a sacrifice. And I had said that from the jump. We understood that from the jump. But I think that the Lord knew that I didn't need to be away from home. I think that God knew where my heart's desire was. He knew that I was happy at home. He knew I felt fulfilled at home. He knew that it was my calling. And then if I could bring in an income from home, that's just all the more of a blessing. So long story short, I just kind of hit the ground running looking for jobs working from home. Didn't care if they were part-time or full-time, as long as they fulfilled that like monetary need, what I was looking for. And a particular company reached out to me, and they had told me that they had a position, but it was like essentially a temp job. And I was like, I don't want anything that's temporary. I prefer to have something that's permanent. I told them kind of what I was looking for on the hour scale. And then I told her that my biggest requirement, if at all possible, was for it to be remote and work from home. And she said, okay, Kendra, well, I'm just gonna let you know that hardly ever comes across my desk. Those were her words. She said, that hardly ever comes across my desk. She's like, but it happens. And she said, when it does, and if it does, because again, it doesn't happen often, I will be sure to reach out to you and be first on my list. And I said, okay, well, thank you. So I'm not kidding y'all. It wasn't a week later. It might have been 5 or 6 days later. She sent me an email. She said, Kendra, you will not believe what came across my desk. Here's the position. Here's what it pays. It's full-time. It's not temporary. And she's like, and it is completely remote. If you are interested, shoot me over your resume again, please. honey, do you know I sent her that resume so fast that I had to look back and double check the email and make sure I sent her the right file? That's how quick I sent it. I called my husband and I told him about it, and he was just saying we're gonna be in prayer about it, and if it's for you, if it's for you, it's for you, and we'll know that this is the Lord because this is what you've been praying for. And I said, okay, great. So I sent her over the resume, and then I checked with her the next day to see that she had received it, because I hadn't gotten like a response. And she said, hey Kendra, she's like, yeah, I received your resume. And then she told me that they just kind of do interviews almost every day because they were getting ready to start up the training in like the next week or so, week and a half. And I said, okay, are you guys available today? Because I'm free today and I'm free tomorrow. And she said, well, we're closed for the rest of the afternoon because we have some conference meetings, but I can get you in tomorrow for your interview. Would you like to do an interview? I said, absolutely. My interview was completely virtual. We hopped on Microsoft Teams, did the interview, and when I tell y'all, this woman hired me on the spot. She said, you are more than qualified. And then she asked me how much experience I had in like the medical administration world. And I told her, I said, I'm pushing 10 years experience in medical admin. And she said, okay, well then this is actually what your salary would be, not this, because the number that I told you in that email a couple days ago was just like entry level, but because of your experience, this is what you'll be making. Let me tell you, you may not be a Christian if you're watching this, and that's fine, because you're watching to hear the story of how I became a stay-at-home wife. But let me tell you, God answers prayer. Let me just put that out there. He answers prayer, because it was worked out to where now I'll be bringing in more than I need to supplement my husband's income. We're also on a debt-free journey, and I can do all of that from my home. I can do all of that while being a stay-at-home wife. I can still handle laundry and handle dinner, and like, we live in an apartment, so handle when the maintenance man comes through, and like handle our budget, which I was doing all these things anyway, working outside of my home. But managing a home is such a full-time job anyway. To be able to just do my work in my home is such a blessing, and I don't have to fit my life in around my work. I can fit work in around my life. You cannot beat that. You cannot beat that. I think that is the way it should be anyway. I think it's super unfortunate that in today's world, most of us have to fit our life in between the pockets of our work, and when really we should be fitting work into the pockets of our life. But don't let me get on a tangent. So yes, that is the story essentially. And now I am a stay-at-home wife. I will permanently, because before I got in this position, we always kind of felt like this season was temporary, and I talked about it in some of my old vlogs when I first started staying home. We had said that this could very well be temporary, and we're just going to kind of soak it all in while we can. And so for us to know that this is now permanent for the foreseeable future, praise be. And I just cannot believe how it all worked out for me. I was getting to a point where I thought maybe I wouldn't find anything. I was getting to a point where maybe I thought, you know, hey, maybe just working outside the home for this season of life is what I'm supposed to do. But God had better for me. His plan is perfect and his ways are intentional. And I had been saying this throughout this whole process. You know, the mornings where I'm crying and I'm upset with my husband because I'm like, I just can't believe this company did this. And then when my previous company, when they said the certification was canceled, I was asking them if they had anything for me to do. You've already sent me my work computer. You've already sent me everything I need to do the job. Is there anything I can do virtually to still bring in an income? And they were telling me no, and they were just kind of pushing it off to the side. And it was just hard. It was a struggle, because as much as I desire to be home full time, we are not in a space where I can be home and not bring in an income. So I just feel so extremely blessed that I can have my heart's desire and still fulfill my duties as my husband's helpmeet right now. Like, praise be to the Lord. So anyway, that is the story of how I became a stay-at-home wife with no kids. And in being a stay-at-home wife, I'm still fully able and capable to help supplement my husband's income, so we can still have a very comfortable livelihood. So I hope you guys enjoy this story. I feel so extremely blessed to be in this situation, and since I am home more full time, I definitely will be doing more YouTube. So if stay-at-home wife content, work from home wife content is your thing, if you like grocery hauls, if you like day in the life vlogs, all the things, if you like that kinds of stuff, then please stick around. Cleaning and cooking videos and just lifestyle, just kind of coming along with me for my life, joining the family here, then please consider sticking around and clicking that red subscribe button. It is completely free to you and it means the absolute world to me. Thank you for taking the time out to just listen to my story and just hear my heart. And I'm just so grateful that even if this blesses just one person, and if it's your desire to want to be home and be a homemaker, whether you're a mama or not, just know that that is still something that is, in my opinion, is a full-time job, and it doesn't make you any less worthy whether or not you bring in an income or not. You are still just completely irreplaceable, and you are a priceless part of your family. You are a servant to your family and unto the Lord, and you're doing something that not many people would even want to do. And it's a very humbling role, but I never have felt so fulfilled in it, to be able to just take care of my home and my family, my husband, and just do what I feel the Lord has called me to do. So with all that being said, I love you guys so much. Thank you for taking the time to just hear me go on and on for a little while and telling my story. And I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.
Pack our bags and get in that car. Leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get